We have a very small run of the Desire deck box with the Field Center left in stock. You can still get the regular version. I'll leave a link down below so you can grab yours today. Triple Tactics Talent. Is this card actually ban-worthy in the future, or is this just the community going, oh, I hate talents? Well, we're here to answer that question along with a couple of other cards. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button. And hey, you know, 34% of you guys, I know that number has been sticking around for a little while. It's like 33.9 now, but you know, 34% still sounds better. Make sure you smash the crap out of that subscribe button. So we're going to talk about talents to start this video. There's a couple of other things I want to talk about in this particular video as well, addressing upcoming possible discussion points here. The first one, obviously, like I said, is talents. Pot of Greed, Hand Ripping, Change of Heart. Yeah, we put all three of those on a card. Now, it's actually interesting because a lot of people have kind of been looking at like the way that the current format is structured, and they've been kind of asking the question of, is this card ban-worthy, or is it the only reason why well, correction, I'm getting too far ahead of myself. People are demanding that this card actually be checked in the future here, but the interesting thing is, the reason why they're saying that more people aren't saying that it needs to be checked in the future is because of the way that the current format is kind of going right now. There are other problems that are further ahead of this, and it's actually a little bit of an interesting mentality when you think about it, because it's a reactive card, and typically reactive cards have been seeing a little bit less play. I mean, in most cases within this format, I haven't seen a lot of 3 talents. Most builds I think I've seen have been playing 2 to 1 of it. So that's the first question you've got to ask yourself is, well, is a card that is a 2 or a 1 of really that devastating at the end of the day? And to be honest with you, if more and more people are kind of turning heads, you know, kind of starting to bring this up as, you know, a question of debate. We do have Triple Tactics Tasking coming along the way here, which will actually give you a card to search for talents, which then you could be like, well, now I can have 6 of them in my deck, which I highly don't think you're going to do. Even on the OCG side of things, they've been playing not a lot of triple tactics, or not a lot of tasking, but they've been playing, I think I've seen 2 to 3 of that, and then talents kind of got bumped down to 1. So based on that mentality, I mean, if talents is going to kind of show up as a 1 of, and to be fair, the card is, once again, we go back to that reactive standpoint here of how you look at like how the format is particularly structured. You know, if, you know, talents is going to be a reactive card in a format where you might not have as many hand traps, or, you know, does talents gain a lot more value the more hand traps you have in the format? Obviously, you know, Ash Blossom, Bystials, Ghost Ogre, Ghost Spell, these sorts of hand traps, depending on their usage in the format, it really depends on how much better, you know, talents becomes as a card. You know, there's Apollousa seeing a lot of play. You know, does that negate actually matter at the end of the day versus, you know, something else? So, to answer the question, I think the card is an interesting one. Is it worth limiting or banning? I think banning it is not the correct call. I think simply limiting it to 1 would make more sense, but the problem with that mentality is you still have tasking coming along, which can just search for it anyway. So you're kind of, the only thing you're doing is you're stopping players from the possibility of having 6 in their deck, which would effectively cut them down to 4 with 3 tasking. But then you got to ask yourself the question of, is tasking worth hitting in the future? And that's a debate for another part of the day. So for now, I think talents is perfectly fine. I find it interesting that players are looking at talents right now and they're going, you know, like, this card's a wee little bit of a problem. Yeah, there's a lot of cards that look like they're problems at the end of the day, but it's because usually of their usage within the format that causes them to be, you know, these particular issues. So little things to consider for 500. Next up is going to be Bystial Magnanut, or Magna Hut. I love calling him Magnanut because he's such a stupid card. So in terms of the Bystials right now, I think that Magnanut is an interesting topic of discussion here. Actually, a lot of people have been bringing up Magnanut as well as one of those cards that's going to cause problems here in the future. And I do agree with you. I think a card that can search for any dragon from your deck is a wee little bit busted. All right? Also, to be perfectly fair with you, the splashability of this is what's making this look like an issue. Now, you would think that a Dark Soul in the current format, or kind of looking at the game right now, wouldn't be that good. I mean, you get a search during the end phase. The game is typically over by that point. Well, the Bystials aim to detour that strategy. Now, I think the interesting point of this is kind of in the same like realm of talents here. Because of the way that the format is and how players are kind of looking at things going, well, we need to check this, this, and this. Once you check these particular things, then you're kind of left with these cards that feel very, very strong. I'm not going to lie to you. The Bystials are busted as shit. All right. Like, there's no doubt in my mind about that. All right. Like, I think most of the Yu-Gi-Oh community looks at the Bysteel cards and pretty much has the exact same thought here. Is like, wow, they made them some big beefy attack points on those things, which does come down to the thing here of in the future. I think that these could be issues. It's going to depend on, once again, how the format shapes up and other things, but Magnanut could definitely be one of those cards that ends up kind of wrapped up in a nice little bow and is put to 1 just because of the little application and BS that it can cause. Sorry, not sorry to say that. I love the Bystials, but let's be honest here, it's probably going to happen. Next up is going to be Fenrir. Now, let's call this what this is. I keep calling this card Pankratops 2.0. A lot of my comment section seems to understand what I mean when I say that. Other people are like, they are not the same thing, Robbie. You are stupid as shit. And I'm like, oh, God, like, please, man. It's a free special summon. It's a free potential out, and the longer you let it sit on the field, the more of an issue it becomes. Yeah, you get one attack with this thing. Oh, I banished something face down. Go around, want to watch me do it again? All right, and it's like, the value you get with this card, and it's at 3, by the way. This plus level 3 tuner equals Baron, but that's not going to happen all that often. Why would you get rid of one of your best cards on the field for that? Oh yeah, also Ring 7 Toolbox, but nobody cares about that. Lots of little interactions with this card have definitely brought this card to like, oh, did I also mention it can search itself? That's my other favorite thing about this. It's okay, because just on the special summon of itself, you can go pull another copy out of your deck, and you're like, oh yeah, please out this one. I have another one for you to deal with in the future. Like, imagine if Pankratops said search a copy of itself, and then you're like, oh yeah, by the way, Popsies, alright, I'll do it again. And it's like, yeah. That's like what you're dealing with here. And it once again, I find it hilarious that people don't think that this card is a future problem to deal with, because that's a lot to unpack for what one card should actually be able to do. But, once again, what do I know? I know there's going to be a lot of Kashtira players here in the near future that are going to be like, yeah, I'm super excited to play the deck. Yeah, me too. But that doesn't mean the fact that Fenrir, being as generic as it is, shouldn't go to 1 at some point, because we got a lot of problems to clean up here that we're just causing with all of this, and this is definitely one of those cards that should be put to 1. Last but not least here, we're going to talk about Tier Elements hits. Now, Tier has been the biggest annoyance in the room as of late. And I would say we're at least half of a year away from having what we would consider a good ban list. Because if you're looking at a lot of the things I've discussed in this video, it's going to be just that. Now, you've got the Ishizu package running around at full power here in the TCG. It's been pretty apparent that the people that made the TCG ban list just don't give two shits about, the state of the game, and they've just detoured half of the casual player base out of the moon. Now, whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing, depending on their own personal numbers, but one thing is for sure, something does need to happen to Tier. We need to roll back the format a little bit. I do understand that Kashtira is coming around the corner, alright? She is a-coming. Alright, she be looking like she's gonna destroy the format, alright? It's gonna be a bad time when Macro.deck finally arrives for people. I do think that depending on how the format goes and how they kind of brace us down for this, we'll have to wait and see. The deck does have a little bit of consistency issues with itself and its ability to brick, but also Droll and Lockbird sends the deck straight down the crapper too, so that's like one really big thing to consider too, is Droll and Lockbird's getting some level of possible playability there. But, you know, all the more things to really consider. But yes, tier cleanup aisle 9 would be absolutely wonderful in my personal opinion. So it's kind of my thoughts on where we're at right now, kind of going forward. But what do you guys think? Please, so comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.